Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about a question that I get sometimes, which is, can you start a CIC with just you and not have other directors? So I'm going to be covering that in this video. I'm going to be talking about what are the advantages of starting a CIC on your own, what are the disadvantages, and how to navigate around some of those problems and how to grow a successful CIC long term. So before I jump into that, hit the subscribe button for everything to do with community interest companies. If you are just about to start a CIC, do get my course, How to Set Up a CIC and Get Grant Funded in 4 months. I've had hundreds of people do that over the last year or so, and I have had a fantastic success rate when it comes to people setting the CICs up, getting their grant funding fast, and creating massive impactful projects. If you've got more questions and you want to just book a call with me, you can also do that. So go over to my website and book a call. So that aside, let's get into it. So some people want to start a CIC on their own. So typically a CIC has 3 directors, 2 or 3. They have to be generally unrelated people, at least 2 of them need to be unrelated. For some grant funders, they ask for 3 unrelated people. So the vast majority of CICs will have 2 or 3 directors, and you would be one of them. But some people come to me and they say, I don't want to, or I can't find another director. Now, if it's a case that you just can't find a director, I do recommend that you look in your inner circle, maybe some friends or colleagues, somebody that knows you professionally, somebody maybe who feels passionate about your cause and your mission for your CIC, and maybe do approach them and ask if there'll be a director. So if it's a case that you just can't find one, do just keep asking around. But if you genuinely feel that no, definitely can't find one and I really just want to do it on my own, maybe that's because you don't really like working with other people, or maybe you've had a negative experience before, and you really want to start this CIC, but you don't want to have other directors. So here are the pros and cons of that. So the cons, main con would be the obvious one, is that you're not going to be able to apply for that much grant funding. There's only a tiny amount that would be able to be given to a CIC that has 1 director. And in a sense, that's kind of the whole purpose of a CIC, is that you have a board, you go for grant funding, and that's what a CIC is. Otherwise, people would genuinely would just have an LTD company, because an LTD could still have a social mission, it could still be a social enterprise, but it wouldn't be able to apply for grant funding. So the whole point of having a CIC generally is because obviously, having the directors means you get grant funding. Now, that said, it's not impossible, and there are still some advantages of having a CIC rather than an LTD, even if you're going to do it alone on your own. So those advantages are, 1, there is tiny amounts of grant funding you could get. So for instance, UN LTD, Unlimited, they do startup costs that you can apply for CICs, for social enterprises, and they can just be for 1 person. Although likewise, they could actually still be for a LTD. Now, there are some other small pots. Some councils might give you some small pots, some other local funders. But as I said, it's very, very limited if you are just on your own. But some of the advantages could be that you could still, having CIC status has lots of benefits. It means you can, for instance, you could approach your council and get business rate exemption. So if you've got a unit, a shop or something, and you want to make it a social enterprise and you want it to be a CIC, and it is subject to business rates, then you are able to go to the council. Various areas differ, but some have 80% to 100% exemption on business rates for charities and CICs. So that's one advantage. Another advantage is you can actually approach your council about taking over a building if it is for a community purpose. So again, if you have a CIC, even if you're running it on your own, and you want to take over a building, maybe it's a disused building in your community, it's been empty for ages, you could ask your council if you would be able to bid for it. And being a CIC means you're far more likely to get it, because it would be for community benefit, and LTD wouldn't be able to get it because they're for profit. And there are lots of other benefits. Like for instance, I went the other day to rent a hall for an event, and I got it free because I was a CIC. So definitely having a CIC status can get you things for free and discounted office space, lots of other things like and lots of other businesses will give you discounts as well. So there are definitely quite a few advantages about having CIC status. It does get you further when it comes to partnering with local authorities, partnering with charities and other community organisations, and it can get you some discounts. So there's definitely lots of benefits there. Now, the other thing you could consider is you could start on your own, and as time goes on, you will of course built up a little bit of a reputation, done some work already, made good partners, got yourself a bit established, and then you're going to be much more likely to be able to recruit directors. Now, you are able to recruit directors really easily and just add them on your web filing to your company. It's literally 2 seconds. You log into your web filing on Companies House and you can just add a new director. So you can add them and take them away quite easily. Now, when you do have directors come on, you will need to obviously have regular quarterly meetings. That is important, but they can have a fairly minimal role. They don't have to get too involved. So that is an option. So you could recruit directors once you get going, you get established. And then once you recruit them, of course, then you can go for grant funding. And if you have been sustainable for a period before on your own, getting money in and running on your own, you're going to look really appealing for grant funders to fund you. So it's definitely not a bad shout to start on your own, especially if you haven't got any directors. Start on your own, build things up, get a reputation, hopefully then bring directors on, then go for grant funding a little bit later down the road. It's just that most people would rather get the director straight away and apply for the funding straight away. But who's to say what's right and wrong, and you've got to do what's right for you. So I hope that video helps. Any questions at all, you can always book a phone call with me on my website.